Hi everybody, Greg Heilman with the Sound on Stage. Welcome to our latest edition of Behind the Curtain. Today I'm joined by Jason Gingold and Molly Hall. Thanks guys for taking some time out of your afternoon to join me here on Behind the Curtain.
Thanks for having us.
We're here to talk about your upcoming show, which is part of your, the Circle of Fire Theater, which is we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. But the show itself is Outside Mullingar. It's being presented at Bainbridge Performing Arts as part of their BPA studio series at the Cynthia Sears Studio there, which is not the main performance hall.
Right.
But one that I've never been in before. So, first of all, the show itself. Let's talk a little bit about that. What should folks expect to see in the show? How did you guys come across it? And what do you guys like about it?
I mean, why don't you start and I'll chime in.
We fell in love with it, I think, soon after it was published, so probably 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were like, first of all, big fans of John Patrick Shanley, the playwright. And it's a poignant, gorgeously written Irish love story. And it has it's four characters. It's two Irish farmers. We play these two Irish farmers who live on neighboring farms, and each of us has a parent figure in the play. And we just fell in love with the language, the way that he makes tragedy or sadness and poignancy bump right up against comedy. That's such a hard thing to do.
It's a very Irish thing.
Yes, yes. And so we fell in love with the play, and then we almost had an opportunity to audition for it a couple years ago, but we had to turn it down because our daughter was in her senior year, and so we kind of thought that ship had sailed. And Elizabeth at Bainbridge Performing Arts had I'm going to tell this story, a casual conversation with Jason did Midsummer Night's Dream at BPA last summer, and they just had a casual conversation about dream shows, and he named this as one of his dream shows. A couple months go by, and she just calls him up and is like, what do you think about doing that show at BPA this year? And we were like, yes, we'd like to do that, please. So
now, was it in the context of this studio series, or did you initially think that it was part of their main stage schedule?
Yeah, we didn't know at that time. She just mentioned interest, and we went out there. I met with her and Deirdre and Eliza, and they said they were starting this new series. They just remodeled during the pandemic. It's a beautiful space, and they have this rehearsal space, but there's a full grid above it, and I think they had always intended to convert it into a black box or a smaller theater, and
they wanted to give themselves a year in the new remodel before they started this.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to speak for them, but
I
think that's right. And they, I think they just have the intention of being able to use that smaller space to do smaller shows that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate or applicable to the vastness of that main stage theater. And this is their inaugural go at it, and obviously we feel really honored to be asked to be a part of that. It should be really special.
Well, you guys are in it together along with Bill Johns and Judith Shahn, and it's directed by Cindy Giese French.
Yes, the legend.
Who we just saw on stage in the 39 Steps
Yes.
over in As If over in Kenmore, who couldn't make it today, unfortunately, for the interview. But, so it's obviously a cast of four. What do you like about working in kind of more of an intimate show like that with a smaller cast versus something? I mean, you were just in Midsummer Night's Dream, big cast. Completely different.
So one of the fun things about the way that they're setting this up is they're kind of like, bring us a show. They're supporting it in all of these ways, but we're rehearsing it at my house, at our house. And so it's fine because everything takes place in a kitchen, and we have a big kitchen, and so Judy so happens to be our voice and speech teacher from graduate school. So we met in the Master of Fine Arts program at UW, and she was our teacher. And Bill Johns is a very well-known local actor who's just so powerful in everything he does. So when we first read this play, within the last few years since we met Bill, I guess we met Bill in 2018, we were like, if we ever get to do it, we have to get Bill and Judy. So they were the first calls that we made, and we were like, look, this is an incredible script and we want you guys. And they both signed on, and I think both of them this is their first time at BPA. So
okay.
What I love about it is the scenes, there's no scenes that don't have nutrients, if that makes any sense. All of the scenes are something profound and big is going to happen in each scene, some big reveal. And the connections that we have, the four of us as humans, is coming through in the connections we have as the characters.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say as well. That's at the risk of being redundant. I think, again, it's not that large casts don't feel a sense of family or community. Obviously, every show has its different dynamics. I think with the specialness of sort of hand selecting this small group of 4 people has allowed us to really just create kind of a bit of heartstring amongst the 4 of us.
And it's also with the trust we have in Cindy. So Cindy is so good at this. She's so good at directing, and she's so good at bringing out the best in every actor. And then with this group, she loves the play so much. And so every rehearsal, her eyes are welling up, and she just takes us to another level each time we go through. She also had us off book early so that we could be in the playing phase. And so now it's just every rehearsal so juicy because we're going deeper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So tell me about Circle of Fire Theater. So this is your personal theater? Is it just the 2 of you that have formed this theater group?
I'm going to let you speak to it.
Would it be okay if I say one more thing about
Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to say that the BPA Studio Series is having it's this new experiment, and we're really honored to be the first people to do the experiment.
I know where you're going. Yeah. Good.
So they're incredible artists over there, and they believe in theater so much, and they have all of these brilliant people, Deirdre and Matt Longmire and Elizabeth Allam and Eliza Lane, conspiring to make this great, to pour their resources into this. And then this wonderful blessing came along where this organization, or the Gnarly Tree Fund on Bainbridge, decided that they wanted to sponsor the entire studio series.
Oh, wow.
So we just wanted to say thank you to them, and it's a lovely thing to do so that they can create these more intimate plays, and that our community is really nourished by people who do that, and our artistic community is better because of that. So we just wanted to name that group made that choice.
That's great.
Yeah. Well,
one of the things that I did want to talk to you guys about, and I talked to Talena Lane when I spoke with her in our last interview, and something Casey Rahal brought up in our award ceremony was shine a spotlight on the theater that's not on the Seattle side but over on the Peninsula side, because he was just up in Key City, up in Port Townsend, doing Wild Man of the Wynoochee, and trying to bring, like I said, shine a light on theater over on the Peninsula, which is obviously where Bainbridge is.
Yeah.
So what is it about, because you guys do a lot of acting over on Bainbridge, what is it about that area just in general that you like that keeps you coming back? That you can tell people, other actors in Seattle, to hey, hop the ferry and go and come over to that side and see what there is to offer. I
feel like I've talked a lot.
No, you're doing great. I'll start, and then you fill in where I've gone astray. I will say we have done work with Kids at Forest Theater and Bainbridge Performing Arts and Indie Theater, all of Peninsula organizations. I think, at least my experience has been that the community supports it so well, and that it's a great reminder that great theater communities and great theater doesn't really require I love Seattle and doing theater here as well, and be it up in Kenmore or all these kind of smaller communities, you still have this same sense of, I just want to see a great performance, or I want to be a part of a great team, or great artists can come and emerge from anywhere. And so just being a part of various communities that just embrace great art, I think is the draw. It doesn't necessarily have to be
What were you going to say?
And in particular, Indie and BPA, they are utterly pros. They treat you like a professional. They treat you with incredible respect. They keep their integrity with all, breaks and comps and how actors are treated at rehearsal. There's just, you feel safe and supported and free to create at both those places. Yeah.
Agreed. BPA and we've done a few shows there, be it as actors or choreographer in your case.
Yeah.
And they're just, it is a very
We've got
professional and heart-centric organization. They do a great job that way.
Yeah, it's good to hear that those organizations exist when you hear stories about others that are on the other end of the spectrum.
Yes.
So on that note, well, actually, another question sort of tangential to that is smaller theaters like that, whether it's As If or Indie or, and I do want to talk about your Circle of Fire Theater.
Yeah.
We do want to talk about that. But coming out of COVID, obviously theaters are struggling. A lot of the larger theaters, it's clear they're trying to find their footing. A lot of them are doing less, world premieres or less original shows. And I'm looking at some of their schedules and seeing that we're playing the hits or whatever it is to fill seats and get money because they have a lot of overhead. Do you find that there's a role to play in smaller theaters in this new landscape to whether it's indie, because I talked to Tom and Matt about this as well, about being a little more risky because you can, they're smaller. It's not the overhead that they have to support. They have to fill 200 seats or whatever. They can do important shows or new shows or shows that might be a little more abstract or avant-garde or whatever the description is. But do you feel that they have a more important role now, or is it just the same as it's been before, that they kind of have their own niche?
Yeah. Do you want to say that? Or?
I'm curious what your take is. I'm working on a response.
We'll brew.
Hey, we'll see.
So pandemic. All theater artists, from people who were making their living in equity houses to people who were really just enjoyed doing community theater, were suffering. They were suffering because we all love it and we all want to do it. So the ways that I saw theaters, obviously some theaters didn't make it, so that's really sad. But the way that many theaters chose to get scrappy and do Zoom theater or streaming theater or just anything to keep theater artists engaged and just keep us just keep the heart beating. We might not be making money on this, but we're going to do this online, whatever, because we needed to gather in whatever way we could. So that, I think, reinvigorated a lot of people about the heart of theater, and we're not here necessarily to make $1 million or be famous.
Yeah.
We're here because we fell in love with it as kids, all of us theater kids, we just have to do it. And so in that regard, I think small theaters are essential, and I guess have always been essential, because we need lots of different voices. And we need to hear from people of all ages and races and genders and all types of plays in all different types of spaces. I think we have this idea, I used to have this idea that success was making a living at my acting all the time, basically that, in equity houses, film, television, and I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like the kind of success that I have is having a really beautiful life and working with people that I admire and believe in and doing meaningful roles. And you can do that in a living room, or you can do that anywhere. And I think redefining success, well, I took it away from the community made about me, but I'm a part of our community, and everybody being fulfilled as an artist matters.
I mean, yes. And I guess I like what she said. And I think the thing that was percolating in my head was the idea of kind of, should smaller theaters do more kind of avant-garde or edgy, or is there greater permission for them to do that because of the non-art? I guess I think what you said about stories to tell is the overriding thought. It's that there are millions of stories to be told, and I think anytime they can get footing and a voice is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm really drawn to the idea that even more ongoing produced or traditional stories or classics or whatever the thing can still find purchase with audiences even at smaller theaters. It really, like, the key for me is, how are you telling the story? What meaning are you finding within it? What truth are you unearthing within it? And whether that's a new avant-garde experimental piece or a slapstick comedy or a Shakespeare or whatever the thing is. I think there's room for all of them, so long as we sort of find what's juicy about them now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And plays and musicals that have lasted for so long have done that for a reason. So,
Right.
There's always a humanity there that can be squeezed out of it.
Yeah, I would never fault someone for playing the hits. Like, I would.
Yeah,
That's
right.
great. And then also, what else? Or could we do the hits in a new way, with different type of casting, or with all women, or
That's what I was trying to say.
12 Angry Jurors. instead of 12
Absolutely.
Angry
What a spin.
Yes. So let's talk about Circle of Fire. So how long has it been around? I only learned about it last Friday. How did it start? And
what happened last Friday?
Yeah. Last Friday was a moment in time.
So it is kind of related to all this stuff we were just saying, because tiny backstory. In our graduate program, so actors are always in this posture of basically begging, auditioning, hoping, metaphorically begging, like, I hope I get cast, I hope I get a call back. And in our program,
You're like independent contractors, except you act.
and you're always hustling
trying to
for a
find your
gig.
next job, right?
Yes. And it's demoralizing, and as you know, about 90% of actors are unemployed at all times, something like that, maybe more.
Yeah.
So in our program, a value was placed on generating your own work. So 2 years in a row, we were given time and space to make one-person shows. And that was so formative for us, because we've always knew in the years of hustling in Los Angeles, in the years of hustling here, it's like, we can make our own thing. We know, even raising kids and not doing theater, we always knew we could make our own thing. So the Circle of Fire Theater is me and Jason and Ken Michaels. And we have talked for years about, offhandedly, like, when we make our own theater company, or when we finally we were like, I guess we better do this, like, if we keep saying that it's going to be in the future. Well, these two little opportunities dropped into our laps this summer, and we were like, okay, it's time. So we came up with the name of Circle of Fire because we visualize theater as a gathering place, right? So there's that, like, central bonfire, like, we want to draw the community to the fire of our project, or our, what we're offering from our hearts. But it's also, people's brilliance and talents are like little fires of imagination, talent, what they have to offer. And so it's also like this circle of small fires gathering to bring their light to make something greater than the sum of its parts. So fire is transformative, and fire also helps humanity. We can't do without it, like, in my opinion, theater.
Yeah.
So that's where the name came from. And it's been inspiring, because, every time, like, a little fire imagery comes along, we're like, ooh, let's use that. Or like that. So, yeah, and the model of it is new, or it's new for us, because another obstacle to making theater is infrastructure, right? We want to make something, but we don't own a building. We don't have a website to do ticketing. We don't have, at this time, Circle of Fire doesn't have those things. So Hay Fever was kind of the prototype, which we did a couple years ago in partnership with Indie. And we were like, hey, we pitched a show to them. They went for it. Thank you, Matt and Tom. And we made something amazing. And so we thought, for starters, let's do that. Let's partner with people. So we're partnering with BPA right now, and then partnering with Second Story in the winter time to do Blithe Spirit. Mm-hmm. And we just feel like that is a great starting model, because we want to make stuff. We know our strengths.
Yeah.
So that's the long version.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting how it came up in my conversation. It was when I was talking to Talina about it, because we were talking about Blythe Spirit. We were talking about Ken Michaels because she's in Three Musketeers up in Leavenworth, right down the street with him. And I was describing, and it just kind of came up organically because I said, as you mentioned, hay fever, because I always seem all my conversations seem to somehow come back to hay fever. But it's so you have Ken, and then I talked about. He's like to me, he's like the Kevin Bacon of theater.
Yeah.
It's like everything seems to be some sort of degree of separation from Ken Michaels. He's probably going to watch this and, I don't know, throw something at me. But and I talked about the circle of Ken Michaels. Kevin Michaels. Yeah. It started with you guys with hay fever, and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And then that's when Talina mentioned the Circle of Fire thing. It was just kind of a organic conversation. That was last Friday.
I was trying to, on the drive over here, I was trying to calculate how many collaborations we'd done with Ken and I got to 20, and I had to start in like the last 10 years, because it's like, Ken is that guy he might be the director of one show or the fight choreographer of another show, but then people just call him. Yeah. And then, can you just come take a look at the fights, or so you maybe at a show you didn't know he was involved with it, and he comes in the door and we're like, oh, all right, we're working together again. Great.
Yeah, he tends to be a fixer when he's not officially attached to a thing.
Like he loves that.
He does, and he's great at it. He just come in and work with whatever state of the thing is, and make it funnier or flow better or more physically engaged.
Well, Talina was explaining what he did in not 39 Steps. That's Cindy's.
Men in Boats.
Men in Boats, yes. About with the movement and how he worked, kind of choreographed all that, and it was just so creative and
he's brilliant
and wonderful. Yeah. So speaking
he's
of,
all right. He's not bad.
You're all right. Well, speaking of families, so you guys, how many times have you guys acted together as a family, either with yourselves, with Sadie, with all three of you?
We keep making this list.
A lot of times.
We've many like we are so blessed. I don't know the number. It's between the two of us, it's 20 something at this point, right?
No, go ahead.
And we've got our two kids, and when they were younger, we brought them along, and they were in the chorus of some productions. It was musicals that we did, and then
sometimes they wouldn't be in the show, and we'd be in a show together, and our son was really sick, but he was the only one not in the show, so he was sleeping in the wings off stage. We're checking on him between acts.
Yeah, I think Sadie always says that they grew up in green rooms and backstage, and it is very true. They've been along for it, and they're now 21 and soon to be 18, and they are artists in their own.
I don't think I've seen him in anything, have I?
So he is more of a music guy now, Charlie.
Okay.
Wonderful, multifaceted musician, but he's been in a lot of shows, and he's actually a terrific actor.
Nice.
And was assistant stage manager on Hay Fever, and is now a stage manager on this show. So he's involved.
Okay.
But Sadie really has the fever, and she's now in undergrad BFA program for acting, and I want to name her as one of the first sparks of Circle of Fire, because when she got it in her mind that we might do Hay Fever as a family, the freight train was going. And I'm mixing my metaphors. The bonfire was stoked. And I mean, if I would drop the ball to not schedule a gathering for it, or call such and so to see if they could play such and she, have you called him yet? Have you done it? Do we have a read through? And I was like, thank you, Sadie. Good job.
We talk about a spark. I mean, she was in Summer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good grief.
I know.
So much energy. I think I mentioned to my wife, I don't remember ever having that much energy. Maybe I did. I don't know.
Puck.
She was an incredible puck. It was very. I was very proud to be.
I was blown away.
Even just, in that production at all, but to get to see your kid grow up with this desire and passion and fire, a circle of fire.
Because you feel kind of bad that she falls in love with theater, right? You're like, I'm sorry.
Right.
It's a hard life, but also, yes.
Yeah, but then, it's okay. But just to see them sort of surpass what you imagine they might become, it's
She's a badass.
She's a badass.
can say badass.
She's a badass.
Awesome. So what's so you've got Outside Mullingar at Bainbridge Performing Arts at the Cynthia Sears Studio, the inaugural event in the BPA Studio Series, November 14th through 17th, which is Friday, 2 shows on Saturday and a show on Sunday.
I think we open Thursday.
Thursday, Friday,
two
two
shows.
shows on Saturday and Sunday. So busy weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's after that then? I know you've got Blithe Spirit then in February
at Second Story Rep. Amazing cast, a lot of familiar faces that were in Hay Fever. And Cindy Giese French is going to be playing Madame Arcati, which is this famously...
That's worth the price of admission just to see that.
That would make me want to buy tickets, yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And what's after that is unknown. We're going to keep dreaming.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking some time out of your afternoon to come and join me for a few minutes to talk about theater.
Thanks, Greg. We loved it.
Yeah, I would love that you're doing this. You're awesome.
Both award winners from Sound on Stage. And they're all along the, you guys like Ken have been supporting what I've been doing for a number of years now, so I appreciate that too. So
you're
thank
really
you so
helping
much.
our community. It's wonderful what you do, and I don't know how you find the time.
Neither do I. So. I have a wonderful wife, I will tell you that. So she's very supportive. So anyway, on that note, my guests have been Molly Hall and Jason Gingold, stars of Outside Mullingar, along with Bill Johns and Judith Shahn at Bainbridge Performing Arts, November 14th through 17th, and directed by Cindy Giese French. So thank you again for taking some time. Once again, I'm Greg Heinlein with the Sound on Stage. You've been Behind the Curtain with me, and until next time, I will see you at the stage door.